This screencast demonstrates how to use Microsoft Excel to create a data table for an experiment. First, open the Microsoft Excel application. I want to label this file so that it will be clear what lab this is for. So first, I'm going to select a few cells across the top of my worksheet and click the Merge and Center option in the top menu bar. Then I'll type my header in that space. So the title of this lab is Gravitational Force. So I'll type that in this space. This particular lab is going to have a few different experiments because there are multiple variables. So I want to be clear that's my first experiment. So I'll put experiment 1. For each experiment, you need to record what is your independent variable, what is your dependent variable, and all of your constants. So I'm going to make a section for that. In cells just below experiment 1, I'm going to type IV to indicate that my independent variable is mass number 1. Then I'll put dV to indicate that my dependent variable is the gravitational force. And then I want to list any constants. For the constants, I want to not only give the name of the constant, but also their value. So there's a second mass in this experiment, mass 2, and for this particular, I'm choosing a value of 25 kilograms, and that's what I will hold for this mass. I'll hold that constant. And then another constant in this experiment is the distance between the masses, and I'm going to hold that constant at 4 meters. Okay, so now I've identified all of my variables and constants. I'm ready to make the data table. So I go a little bit further down in the worksheet. I'm going to create a nice header for my table. I want to be very clear what is my independent variable and what is my dependent variable. I'm going to give a title for each column and also the units of measure. So my independent variable is mass 1, and that's measured in kilograms. My dependent variable is gravitational force, and that's measured in newtons. Notice that gravitational force, that word is longer than the default width of a column in the spreadsheet. But I can change that. If I go up to where the columns are labeled A, B, C, D, E, and so on, if I put my cursor on the line between the columns, it changes to a plus sign, which indicates that as I hold my left mouse button down, I can drag and adjust the width of that column. Okay? And I think it would look nice if I centered the values in my header. So I'm going to select the header, and here in the alignment section of the upper menu, there's an option for centering, and I'll click that. Now I'm ready to fill in the values of this table. For the independent variable, I can tell by playing with the simulator that I can choose very small values, and I can choose values of mass going up to about 100 kilograms. So I'm going to start with something very small, like 1/100th of a kilogram, and I'm going to go up in increments. These numbers do not have to be in even increments. I'm typing in values that I actually have selected as I was playing with the simulator. Okay, So I've selected values of mass 1 from very small to as large as I'm able to select in the simulator. Now I'm going to go back and use the simulator, and for each of these values of mass 1, I'm going to record what measure of gravitational force it gives me. The gravitational forces here are quite small, and so I need to enter them in scientific notation. So for the first one, the value that the simulator is giving me is actually 1 times 10 to the negative 12. So I can enter that in scientific notation by putting the leading number, the e to represent scientific notation, and then the value of the exponent. So this would be 1 times 10 to the negative 12. And then I put enter, and Microsoft Excel recognizes that notation. Okay. So the next one is 2.62 times 10 to the negative 10th. So I would enter 2.62 e to the negative 10th. And I'll keep doing that for all of the values that I have. Okay, now I've entered all of the measured values of gravitational force. I should now save this file. So I'm going to go up to File on the top menu bar and click Save As. And then I'll find a location where I want to store this. And click Save. Now I just want to do one more thing. I'd like for my data table to stand out, and so I'm going to put a box around it. So I'm just going to select all of the cells in this data table, and up in the font section of the upper menu, there's a little drop-down menu to choose the type to put around that selection of cells. And I'm going to put a thick box border. That way, this table will stand out when I look at this. I'm also going to, just for aesthetics, put a little bit of color to shade the header. So I'm going to select the cells of the header, and in that same portion of the upper menu, there's a place where you can select the fill color, and I'm going to select a light blue. So now my table stands out and is very clearly visible. Okay, so this completes creating a data table. Oh, I should just save this file one more time so that I've saved all of my changes.